Hey everyone, Nick from Nick's Crossing here. Welcome back to the train room for a great tutorial video today. Today we're going to be doing a rewiring job to this beautiful K4s and installing a brand new Molex connector for our tether. So here we go guys, all aboard. Alright guys, so I picked up this locomotive not too long ago from a friend's shop, Iron Horse Trains up in Hanover, and brought it home. Everything worked great, and I noticed a couple of things up with it. Someone really ran this thing. And that's fine. I mean, trains are meant to be ran and enjoyed, and sometimes we have to open up and fix them. So this isn't really a big deal. And a lot of you guys out there have probably had the same exact issue with your MTH stuff, your early Lionel stuff, even K-Line, probably even Williams too. The Molex connectors wear out. They just wear out. You have a lot of wires in a real jammed up place. And the weird thing is with the tender, let me grab it real quick. This tether does not allow any forgiveness. It's on a pivot, so that's it. There's your tether right there. It pivots, so it's at the mercy of your radius turns and also the engine. Now, the engine tether, the male end, you can actually pull that and push it back and adjust. This actually has 3 different drawbar settings right there, so you can get it real close and real far away for, I guess, whatever radius you're using. Now always guys, I preach this a lot on this channel, the bigger radius the better. This engine is a prime candidate of that talking point. Someone ran this on 031, I guarantee it, and I'll show you guys when we get underneath this thing. The wheels, I guess the pilots, and also the trailing truck are worn out like crazy, just from like real tight turns and everything. And the wiring on here was just eaten alive from the tight turns. Also, a little bit of mix of heat because this locomotive shell right here does not allow for a lot of ventilation. So you have a smoke unit in there chuffing away, building up all this heat. You have a motor behind it, a little DC motor. They get hot too, building up all this heat, and it just turns your wire into like this mush. Like the integrity of the wire is compromised. So here we are tonight. We're going to show you guys how to rewire one of these tethers, and we're going to use something called a Molex connector. Now, a lot of your guys' tethers out there, your MTH, Lionel tethers, even these, are going to be impossible to find. So if you do find one, they're going to be like 25, 30 bucks, then shipping on top of that. And I know for a fact that's what you're going to pay. I just bought a PS2 tether. It was $24 with shipping. It was like 28 bucks for a little piece of wire with 12 wires. You can pick up one of this match pair. So you get the male and female Molex connectors right here from Amazon for $8. So $8. Then you also get all your pins right here, your female pins, your male pins, and you just crimp them and insert them into the Molex and you're good to roll. So we're going to try this out. This is going to be great guys for any engine that has a multi-wire tether. This is not for like an optic tether or any of the newer stuff. This is for old school tethers right here. All right guys, you are topside on the layout table here, and here's our engine. This is it. Here's our frame right here. Real simple. And like I was preaching before, your turn radius, look how chewed up that is. You can see the flanges are all pushed out and everything. This doesn't really derail on this track as much. The rollers are fine, so they ran it on tubular track. A little bit of an indentation there, so it's not like you're running it on the Super O or Super K track. This stuff looks great. Now, top side here, here's the culprit. I've already kind of done some destruction work here. Here's our 7-pin Molex connector. This is the old one. Now these work by really just taking, let me see if I can get one of these. Actually, I have one sitting out right here. This is one I tried to rewire. It was a mistake. This is a Molex pin, and these are all crimped in place. I soldered it, would not fit back in. It was a mess. So this is the green wire that goes to the green wire right here off the motor. Now how we're going to do this is rewire one at a time. I'm going to try to use as much as I can from the engine right here and trace it back to the tether. So we'll measure it out and then we'll go from there. So do one wire at a time, shrink one over, resolder it, and just kind of pack it back here. We have lots of room like right here on top of the motor. I know it's going to get hot and all that like I just said, but it seems like the best place. Now these wires right here, these I believe are part of the antenna. These are factory like that, so just kind of melted at the end with the you know, your shrink right there. So we'll leave those alone. We might just, I don't know, we might just make our own. And also plan on going in line. So we're going to do the top 4 first, then the bottom 3. So basically, we're going to match them up. So this wire is still good right here. It's not too spaghetti-like. It's the best way to describe it. So what we're going to do first is, I can actually put that over there in the waist. Grab some green wire. We're going to use, I believe this is 20 gauge wire right here. And that's for our motor, so we'll do a little bit thicker wire. This is 20. I think the other wire we're using is either 18 or 22. But we'll measure it out, see what we can do. I don't want to go too close up to the front. Give this some room, because this is going to actually be sliding in and out of the slot down here. The shell actually extends to the back right here. So we'll cut it right about, let's see, give that some wiggle room. So right there, solder, we'll do that. If it's too much, we can always back the wire up and push it back into this mess in this area here. All right, guys, our wire is right here. I'm actually going to solder that real quick. This should be nice and hot. Letting that cook for me. And where's the lead? Here's the lead. Just real quick solder bead on there. Come on. Boom, done. Lots of smoke. Perfect. And then what I usually do is fold the wire in the direction you want to put your shrink. So this wire is up like that. Fold it down. It's still kind of warm. There we go. And then we're going to shrink over that. So we're going to use just basic, I think this is 20 gauge shrink right here. And there's our first wire. So what I'm going to do now is actually strip this down just a little bit. Right there. And then that should be all we need. There we go. There's the male pointy ends. We'll just break one of those off very carefully. Just work it back and forth. We're going to set that wire on the inside and then carefully crimp this over. Now you don't want to solder because you get this giant solder glob inside this little connector and it will never work right. Alright guys, presumably the engine side is all wired up to this male end of the Molex. Now, a couple things I had to backtrack. As you can see, there's a huge piece of shrink right here. When this is all done and morphed together and all this pasta in here is all cleaned up, we're going to slide that down and actually shrink everything nice and tight so it doesn't move. On here, just going to use some hot glue, seat everything, make sure it's all set. And this insulation here, this white wire, is part of the, I think these are antenna wires right here. They're kind of mushy, but they keep on falling out. So I want to make sure everything's nice and insulated, not moving around. Then we'll slide this giant piece of shrink over top everything. We'll melt it all together so it's one big happy family of all 8 wires. All right, guys, here it is, all cleaned up. Look at that, so much nicer. The hot glue is settling in there, still kind of wet, but that's just meant to hold all the wires in place. Make one giant piece there. It's kind of mold it with your hand as it cools down, but it looks great, guys. Look at that. So really nice and clean. Just to make sure, here's the other connector here. Flip that around, and there we go. All this stuff, there's actually a really nice tab on the motor to mount all this wire to, and it's kind of meant to hold the tether so it doesn't get pulled out. But we're going to kind of form this. This wire is fresh, and it's been coiled up for a while, so it is kind of tough to move. We're going to get a zip tie on that. So got this giant tube of zip ties right here. We're going to find the small ones. So let's get one of these little guys out here. And originally they had this real nasty like wire tie material, kind of like a bread bag right here, like your typical grocery store bread zip tie right there or whatever, wire tie. I don't want to use that. I want to actually have something mechanical in place. So here we go. We're going to group all these wires. This wire here for the motor, that can hang down there. And just carefully put everything back. So right here we'll put a zip tie. Organize all that stuff. Boom, right there. So we'll crank down on that. Not too tight though. Want some room for thermal expansion. And we'll cut that. Boom. So that's done. You can always add more, guys. There's never too many zip ties. And then up here, see this grouping here? We'll put it through this motor loop. It's right here. It's like a little loop in the motor shell. So we'll do that. Oops, that's the dead end. Here we go. Throw that in there just like that. Loop all this stuff in there. There we go. Just come down on it easy. Now this motor gets hot. It shouldn't melt the zip tie. It doesn't get that hot, but just leave enough room for things to breathe and move in here. And there we go. Just like that right there. We're going to start to wire up the tender next, which is going to be a lot of fun. Same amount of wires, exact same process, very time consuming. I'll come back towards the end and then we'll test everything and see how we did here. All right guys, about an hour and a half later, it's about 10:32 at night and I got it all wired up. This works really well. I just ran it on the test layout there. So these are the antennas. I traced them back to the board. So these are all nice and grouped. So I'm guessing the way they designed this is that with these antennas, it's supposed to go through the shell or something to pick up. The smoke unit's working great. Everything's out of the way. So we're ready to assemble. And of course, show you guys the end product here. Everything's grouped together in there, just like before. The cool thing is this old Molex style connector for the pins. Where's the dead end at? So here's the thing with this. This is really interesting. With this, you could really screw up your polarity. Look at that. It connects that way. And watch this. If I flip it around, it also connects the other way. So that is something really bad. If you look at the way your wires are lined up, it's like opposite. So you don't want that. I don't know what would short out. I don't know what would blow up. But look, like I'll do it again. You can flip this around or flip this around. It will fit no matter what. So let me flip that around again and then this around. So yeah, no matter what, it's connected. This one, this is really cool with this new Molex. This clip here matches up with this clip here. When it locks in, you'll hear a click. There it is. There's the click. And you can't screw up your polarity. Yeah, you can turn it the other way, but guess what? It's not going to fit. The way they designed this, there's actually these little divots in here. So inside each, here, I'll zoom in on it. This is so cool. So you really can't screw up your stuff. I don't know how you would, but see the different patterns? It's more of a circular pattern in there compared to a square pattern. So when you go to match up with this connector here, look at that. See this clip underneath? That matches up with this little piece right here. And you put it together, you'll hear the click. Right there. Boom. It's done. It's connected. So we're going to get all this back together. I am aware I'm going to have to shove this back in. So this will probably have to rest in here somewhere. And then the tender part, that'll just sit in there and actually might absorb some of this slack coming from the engine. We'll have to see. All right, guys, we're going to test this out. So I got my remote right here. So let's power it up. Track 1. And let's give her some juice. There she goes. All bright. And just hit engine. It should be the last engine I programmed. So, ENG, here we go. So let's give it the whistle test. Sounds great. Turn the volume down. I just want to make sure everything works. It's actually much more responsive now, especially repairing that antenna, I guess. The dispatch sound. Turn the volume back up. The bell is super responsive. Look at this. Way better than before. And it should be in reverse. And before she hits my giant coal drag, let's bring her back home. Perfect. And this track has the TPC, so let's see if I can decouple. This coupler always has been kind of stuck, but you can hear it buzzing, it's working. The end lights are working on the tender, and let's put it in reverse to see if that works. Okay, so that's one thing. I do remember with this train, sometimes that tender light doesn't always cut on, but the end lamps are on, so that's cool. Got the firebox low in there. Everything's working. The lights up front look amazing. So we can check in on that reverse light there. I don't see it yet. I don't see it turning on. So, very well. But the tether is right there. It looks great. And it's hanging in there. There we go. Actually, let me bring her back around here. Let's see if that did it real quick. Let's put it in reverse. Oh, there it is. I had the aux button. There we go. Sweet, so everything works, guys. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this video on fixing up this beautiful K-Line K4s Pacific. And this engine is my favorite steam engine of my entire collection. Better than Deca, better than my 040. This thing it takes the cake. So Nick's favorite, rocking and rolling again. It is a fantastic runner. It's got the old school stuff like the Puff and Chuff smoke, and the new school stuff with TMCC command control, with also the crew figurines in there, firebox glow, the beautiful whistle, dispatch, all that fun stuff. So she is working great, guys. I'm going to call this an upgrade because I found out that there were supposed to be 8 wires, not 7. So one of those pins broke off in the past. And because of that antenna wire being, I guess, energized again, this engine is so much more responsive. So I can't wait to see what she does at like run events or clubs just up here in the layout room and all that fun stuff. So just a simple $8 Molex made this engine run like a brand new engine. And this engine's almost 20 plus years old. So she's running great. But anyways, guys, if you're new to the channel, always consider subscribing. Leave a comment. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Leaving one of these really helps as well. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss goofy tutorials just like this. Until next time, everyone, happy railroading, and we will see you next time.